Now that you mentioned the fact that the importance of production and how this is also a solution to the national problem, you gave us the statistics and prediction of 400 million,
400 million.
in 2050. My goodness, Nigeria, I don't think we're ready. But, to join us now, we have an expert, David Taiwo, who is joining us online right about now, and we are welcoming you to the show. Welcome, David Taiwo.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the LXP Morning Flight. Okay, so we have been talking about agriculture in Nigeria, its opportunities, and Mr. Sheyi has said extensively about agriculture in Nigeria and its evolution and where we are today. And he did mention 3 important factors that would help agriculture in this country, Nigeria. He talked about the output, he talked about the input, and he talked about production. Now, why is agriculture, especially the producing part, very important for us in this country? Because not many people want to become, when you hear agriculture, they feel like it's a low man's job because it's farming, having to go to the farm and do all these things. These are the knowledge people have. But why is agriculture important, especially in these times, in this country, Nigeria?
Okay, thank you so much for having me on the show. It is important because agriculture is life.
Okay, he'll be joining us back.
Looking at our shoes.
Okay.
Looking at everything about human. It's all about agriculture. Our survival is about agriculture. So it is very important that we pay so much attention to it. Like for us, in the field, we actually do it day in, day out. Looking at the section of the crop, the section of the livestock, it's all about our survival. Now, no human being can survive without agriculture. And having this understanding, it makes it very, very important that everybody must participate in it. Now looking at it from this angle, we are what we eat. What you eat is what you are. You eat contaminated food, you get cancer, you get all sorts of diseases. So agriculture is essential to human.
Thank you.
I'll stop there for now.
Thank you. Well, our guest here, Mr. Sheyi, spoke about the challenges and he buttressed on the government, the assistance from the government and all of that. So I'd like to ask, how accessible are the grants from the government to encourage farmers in general? If you want to go into massive farming, how accessible are these loans or grants from the government to be an eligible farmer and to have a large farm, cultivation and all of that? How accessible are this? Because everything talks about money, the mechanization, the machines, the tools and all of that to have a good farming system. So how accessible, basically, are these loans and grants from the government?
Thank you so much. In all honesty, most of these loans are out there, but getting it is very difficult. I was opportune to be part of the people that were selected for GEM. Out of 70,000 of us that applied nationwide, 1,000 of us were selected, and we were told to be given 15 million naira minimum. But the politics came up, and we were sent to Lagos Business School, EDC, for the normal training. When it comes to the issue of the disbursement of the grants, we started hearing all sorts of stories, and we just understand it's Nigerian system. For example, in our own area over here, we actually have farms nationwide, and there's this section of CBN called NISA. They now have microfinance. The criteria that is always set out is always very strict. And, having such strict criteria becomes very, very difficult for an ordinary person to easily access it. Because one of the criteria is this: if you want to get government loan or grant, it will be that you should either set up a cooperative, and those cooperatives, they will ask you, buy the land, do the deforestation. Those sections are very, very, very tough. Because for a layperson, not everyone is actually a commercial farmer. And for someone that is actually just a what's it called, subsistence farmer that want to upgrade into commercial, he needs to buy the land. The cost of deforestation. So getting loan to do all this, they don't even consider all that. So in Nigeria, we just believe that you have to get the link. I'll give you an example. Something happened that during the coronavirus pandemic, we as a farmer were able to move around. But they now said government is giving fertilizer to the farmers. Now look at that challenge. Trailers of fertilizer was given to farmers, and the leaders return it back to the market to go and sell. So we see this as a major problem in Nigeria. And for us, we're seeing 5,000 on the bag for the fertilizer, but it was returned back to the market for 8,000.
Wow.
This is the area where government is trying to help, but the people that want to put it have to return it back to the market. So it's something that is very, very slim for a layperson to easily get some of the own grant and even some of the government support us.
Thank you. Mr. Shea, I'm still concerned about the fact that you talked about production and how production is very important. Before you even sell something, that's why we saw the rise in price when it came to tomatoes, onions. Onions became diamond. It was being celebrated like summer on social media sometimes this year. Now, let's talk about food security. How can we prevent food insecurity? Because it got to that point at some times of this part of this year, and those who even had produced now wanted to sell, a basket of tomatoes at maybe 30,000 naira because I felt, I have the monopoly of this particular product. How do we prevent food insecurity with the rising population in this country?
Okay, food insecurity, from my interpretation, goes beyond even availability.
Yeah.
Security is freedom from danger and threat.
Okay.
So if what you have available is not healthy, it is a threat. If what you have available is not in the way that people want it and can use it, it is a threat. It goes back to infrastructure for storage and processing or preserving food to be available all year round. Now, for security, for food security for us, a whole lot still comes to government. It comes to government. I will say that because you just spoke about onions. Onions is not food as it were. It's a complementary thing.
Yeah.
You get to use it. When we talk about real food, when we talk about grains, when we talk about arable crops that people eat every day, government policies have messed up some terrains, have made food more expensive. And it is in response. Okay, let me give an example. About 8, 9, 10 years ago, the federal government decided on industrial application of cassava. We have cassava. In fact, on record, Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. So we contribute to the global food system. as it were. But in the global food economy, where trading of food commodities take place, we don't account for much. With cassava that we produce, what happens is that we eat all the cassava that we produce.
Wow.
We eat all in form of gari, fufu,
Starch.
abacha, whatever. You know, we eat it, we consume it. We have enough people to take it down. Whereas there are industrial applications of cassava for paper companies, for biofuel companies, you know, ethanol, starch, gum, that those companies in Nigeria import largely everything they use, cassava-based products. They import it. So government said, let us move and start using our cassava to service those needs. Instead of paying FX and getting those things in, let's do it locally and enrich ourselves, pay our farmers, build, you know, that product, build some serious livelihood around cassava. What happened was that a lot of people immediately rushed into processing, industrial application. They wanted to process cassava that they were not producing. They depended on the local market that was servicing gari, fufu, and every other thing to supply them the cassava to put into industrial application. What happened immediately? The demands rose. Cassava, gari, fufu, everything that we used to enjoy became expensive. And most of those companies today are folded up because they couldn't sustain their production. They didn't have raw materials secured. The work would have been, first of all, that cassava that you want to process, produce it. They might not be the one to go directly into that production. They can contract farmers. Oh, Mr. John, you have been producing 2 hectares every year into the national, you know, what's it called, reserve for cassava.
Yes.
What would it take you to do 5? The extra 3 we will buy from you because we want to process. You don't want to distort the market.
Yeah.
You don't want to disturb people having to eat gari.
Yes.
But that wasn't done. So most of them ran in, and when push comes to shove, people must eat first. So the companies had to shut down because they couldn't secure
Raw
inputs.
materials.
Yes,
Okay.
raw materials.
Thank you, sir. Sir, this is for you, Mr. David. With the present state and the rise of insecurity in Nigeria, how do you as a farmer protect yourself, knowing that yes, you have to, your products are very, very important for the people, for daily existence, and you also need to also break even, because if you are doing the business of a thing, how do you protect yourself against this so-called insecurity? Because it happens in virtually almost all the regions in the country. How do you do it, sir?
Okay. I would actually say with the way we have been doing it at the moment is that for us, the farmer, we try as much as possible to manage people around us, you know, because if we don't manage people around us, we always have the same crisis. Number one, look at the issue of the Fulani herdsmen. The Fulani herdsmen around us, they've been from times immemorial. If these guys strike, kill one of their cows, they would destroy our own farm. That would lead to unavailability of our products, which would as well food insecurity, meaning unavailability of food. 2, we look at it as much as possible as a farmer to look at what we have to produce that we also can consume that will not actually cause cancer into our body and into other people as well. Now, as much as possible, we try to see how we can train our own people, because availability of food, it depends on the manpower that you have. As a farmer, if we don't train the local people, and if we also don't upgrade ourselves, we would end up in not being able to bring out what will give us our return on investment. Another thing is this. There is a way stuff are being done locally. I will take maize, for example. We have 100 acres land for maize. There's a way it's been planted before now, that you just do 1 meter, you put your leg to plant. Now, because of innovation, we have this planter, we have fertilizer application, we have to make sure that on our small space of 100 acres of land, which is about 600 plots, can give us maximum return.